This is the Upgrade Yourself podcast, where you'll learn actionable steps to enhance all areas of your life and design a life that you love. Here are your hosts, Chris and Diana Bryant. Welcome to episode 6 of Upgrade Yourself. I'm Chris.
And I'm Diana.
And today we are answering the question, what defines success?
What an interesting topic to talk about, because success is something different for everybody. And I think whatever it is that you define success, the definition that you give to the word success is what actually drives you in life, is what motivates you to get to those places you want to get at. So fortunately with Chris, we defined success, what it was success for him and for me, and then as a couple, very early in our relationship. And this has been helping us to stay focused on what it is that we want to accomplish in life. And the idea for today's episode is to hopefully give you some inspiration on a different way to see success. What success means to us probably will inspire you to what success could really mean to you. So let's get started.
Yeah, so the first item here we want to go over is the fact that it's not money. Money is not success. Happiness is. Now, if you happen to have a very, very well-paying job and you love it and it makes you happy, you're a success. If you are making minimum wage but you love it, and you're able to support yourself, you're a success. It really is all about living within your means and being happy, following what your passion is, and just pursuing that your whole life. Now, things change over the time. It's always important to revisit your goals and what's important to you, but such a huge, huge part of success is your happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we have experienced ourselves with Chris in our own personal path. And at some point we have this, job that in a corporation making good money. And we were like, in my case, I was just trying to be the highest and the fastest that I can get in my career. And very quickly, I found out that I was not being happy. So because I wasn't feeling happy with what I was doing, I wasn't feeling successful. So definitely following our passions, what we are passionate about is what defines success for anybody truly. And also aligning to our values, making sure that those important things that whatever that you make important to yourself, that you're putting those things first, that is what also make you feel successful. Because when you're aligning to those values, to what is important to you, then you feel that you are advancing in life on whatever it is that you are setting your mind to.
And we were watching a great documentary the other day on minimalism, and they were talking about, when people go to buy a house, they go, okay, well, I can afford, $500,000 house. So they go out and they look for a house that they can, the biggest house, the nicest house they can afford for $500,000. They don't have $500,000 laying around. They can get approved for that from a bank, which they're going to owe for the next 3 decades or so, 15 years if you get an accelerated mortgage. But you living within your means, and just, do you need all those rooms, all that space? The answer is probably no.
Right.
The majority of your rooms in your house don't usually get used unless you're in a small apartment or you're in a studio or one bedroom. But live within your means, and you'll find that you have more resources to travel more, to engage in hobbies, or just to give to charities, and which is that's a whole other topic, but that's such an incredibly fulfilling feeling. But we'll get to that actually in a little bit later this episode.
Yeah, and one of the things, and what we want to emphasize here is the fact that success, it's not about how much monetarily you have or how much possessions you have. Success is how many, it can be experiences, or it can be anything that collectively makes you happy. That's what truly success is. And we have read it from many different books and many people that have been there, done that, right? That have achieved that, in quotes, success that we think society tends to think that is having the best car, the best house, the best job, whatever it is. When they have gotten there, they have said, this is not it. This really doesn't fulfill. If you are passionate about it, and if you are, that's something that you really want and it brings you happiness, then good, that's success to you. But if it's really not fulfilling that those values in your life and that passion in your life, then you're not going to feel successful.
And it's so important to make a course correction too, because how many years of your life that you're never going to get back were you wasting going down that wrong road?
Right.
Even if you have to take a pay cut, if it's something that you prefer to do it. When I went full time with my video production company, I had it on the side for like a decade, and I finally got so busy I couldn't keep up with it. When I went full time with Empire Studios, I took a pay cut for my well-paying corporate job for the first year and a half, and then it surpassed that. But I was the happiest I've ever been in that first year too. Like just looking at it from like a monetary perspective, I was making less, had a lot less benefits. We were self-employed, but I was so happy and fulfilled. It was a lot of risk. So that kind of balanced it out. But overall, I was following my passions, and I was happy, and
Right.
I was a success.
And I think that aligns as well with fulfilling the purpose for which you were created, right? Like fulfilling a calling. Everybody was created with something specific to do on this earth. And when you are able to find that, whatever that is, it's going to connect with your passion. Absolutely. And then when you start doing that you're passionate about all the time, you're going to feel so happy, so joyful that's going to equal to success. So, and that I think transitions us to the second thing we want to talk about. And success is understanding the difference between your wants and your needs. I think in this society it's so important to seek what it is that we need and realize that what we need, we already have it. Because when you are seeking what you want in life, you're never going to feel fulfilled, because there is always something that you're going to want, right? You got there and now you want more. You're never going to fulfill the wants in your life. But the needs in your life, you're going to realize that they have been already met. You have gotten there, and that's going to make you feel that you're successful. And that ties in with being grateful, right? With knowing and realizing what you have and saying, it's enough, and I appreciate this, and acknowledge it, enjoy it, and then see what is next. See what is the next thing you need in your life. But it's definitely separating your needs from your wants.
There's a great saying, I have no idea who said it originally. I've heard multiple people say this, but we work jobs we don't like to buy stuff we don't need for people, to impress people that we don't even like.
Exactly.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
There's some other songs saying we make money and then we die. Like, we're slave to money, then we die.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
So it's important to break out of that habit. It's difficult when for the past 20, 25 years, that's kind of just been the norm in this culture. So you need to look at it differently, and don't look at it for money, look at it for happiness.
Right.
And being, grateful for what you have is such a big thing. Don't look for what my neighbor has that's bigger and better and shinier than mine.
Right.
Pause for a second and look back and look at what you have. Look at, the clothes on your back. Look at, where you're living, or your health, the health of your family.
Right.
And I think that experiences are going to be the next really big thing people are going to be looking for, not material things.
Right. Yeah, because truly, if we focus, and this is once again, we're speaking out of experience with Chris, because we have gone through a lot together and we talk a lot, and we love having these deep conversations to get to know each other better and define what it is that is success, happiness, all these kind of things in our life, what are our values. So all these have come from our own experiences, where when we are focusing on our wants, we become a slave of money, a slave of society, because we want to get something that probably we don't even really want. Once we get it, we probably even realize that this is not something we really wanted. So we really make that decision to stick to our values, to what is important to us, and it doesn't matter what our neighbor or whoever is doing that good for them if they're feeling happy with that, but that's not going to make us happy. And we have found that we feel pretty successful right now where we are at right in this moment in time, because we have been able to focus on our needs, not on our wants, and what makes us really, really happy.
So many purchases of material things are often to fill a void that we're feeling like in our life. Like, okay, Like I used to buy movies a lot, like a lot of DVDs back in the day. And it's like, I was working jobs, that wasn't really for me ultimately. And I feel like, okay, well, I need some escapism. Let me just go buy the newest movie that just came out. You should see my DVD collection before. And it's just, you're trying to fill those voids. You got to stop and look at yourself in the mirror and say, honestly, why am I trying to fill these voids? What is off in my life or what's missing that I need to change?
Yep. And at some point as well with, Chris just mentioned that we watched the other day a documentary on minimalism. So one thing that we do with Chris a lot is we try to educate ourselves in the things that we want to become, right? And one thing that him and I have been working on is trying to be more minimalistic. And that came from a conversation that we have together one day. And those are our favorite day nights, by the way, sitting at a Starbucks with a cup of coffee or a coffee place. It doesn't have to be a Starbucks, but having deep conversations when we get to know each other and check on each other, how we're feeling in life, right? And one of those conversations, what came up is the fact that we are consumers. The majority of people are consumers. We're always consuming something, purchasing or watching something, consuming. And that day we made a decision with Chris. We want to be less consumers, more producers, be able to produce things that will impact people's life. And actually this podcast is a product of that conversation we have that day, because it's like, let's consume what we really need, what is going to help us grow and achieve those goals that we want to achieve. And let's produce more of those contents, of those experiences that we both have lived that can enhance somebody else's life. So we're definitely focusing less on our wants and more on our needs. And that has been absolutely amazing for seeing a different perspective of what success means to us.
And it can be hard at first when you're used to buying things all the time. But look at how much stuff you have. I mean, we've really chipped away at birthdays and Christmas and things like that. I mean, to next to nothing, because like we have what we need. Maybe new experiences, traveling new locations, or experiencing new things, or watching a good, insightful, eye-opening documentary.
Right.
Now, the next point that we want to talk about is be faithful in the process. What we mean by that is, don't look at just success milestones like getting the promotion or getting the new house or getting a new car. Those are milestones along the way. If you are actively going towards your goals and you're working towards those things that you're passionate about, you're a success. Even if you haven't gotten to one of those milestones yet, if you are making forward progress towards something that you're passionate about that will get you further in life, whether it's just to make you happy, you are a success. I would love for Empire Studios to be the predominant video production agency for corporations in the entire United States, big agency with like dozens of employees. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But do I consider myself a failure? No. I consider myself a success. I'm working towards it every day. I'm making small changes or big changes or decisions or just producing more good content where I'm on the path to do that. I feel every day I'm a success because some days there are steps backwards, but there's always more days stepping forward than there is backwards. So I feel on a day-to-day, I'm a success. So having that mindset that just because you haven't hit one of those targeted goals, that doesn't mean you're not a success yet. You're on your way.
Right. And that thing that Chris said is so crucial, is understanding that you're being successful just by being faithful to what you're going through. Understanding, like having a conscious mind that, I haven't gotten where I want to be there yet, but the fact that I haven't quit, the fact that I'm still faithful to the process is making you successful. And if you continue in that path, you're going to get to that place that you want to get at. So that is an absolute good way to see success and understand that you can celebrate success before you even get to that place, because you are, just by getting up every day and doing it, you are going to get there. So that also intertwines with dealing with fears, dealing with discouragement, dealing with these things that get on your way and don't let you get to that place, like confronting those kind of things on a daily basis makes you successful as well. And you have to stop for a moment sometimes, and that's what we do with Chris. Sometimes we stop and say, okay, we have done so much, let's stop for a moment and look back to see how much you have done. Because if you don't stop and reward yourself for those little successful moments that you have had, for those little milestones that you have achieved, then you're going to feel like you're not going anywhere. So it's good to stop. It's good to think. It's good to confront those fears. It's good to see what is the next thing you want to get done, not forgetting what you have already gotten done.
One thing that I do is I'll take a look back at my Instagram account because there's so much things that are happening. Life moves so quick, you forget what happens. And the way I use my Instagram account is things that make me happy, or, if we're on a trip or just something that's going on that makes me smile, I'll post it on my Instagram and I'll go through and go, I forgot about that. I forgot about this. Oh, look at wow, we've come so far. Look at where we were last year. We were doing this. Look where we are now. And that's a great visual way to kind of take a look back.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I really want to emphasize the fact that Chris and I, when we first met, we were both working at a grocery store. And at that moment, I remember going to college. I was going for my psychology degree. And I remember never feeling unsuccessful, even though I was working at a grocery store, not making enough money. But the fact that I was going for something that I believe in, and the grocery store was helping me pay for my education and things like that, I was feeling at the moment successful because I was being faithful to the process. And then, of course, as time progresses, we start seeing better things for us, what works better for us. We found different jobs, and we start following a path that we think is the right path for us. And that's the first step you always have to make, is just believe that that path that you are seeing in front of you, and that those values that are aligning to that path is the right path, and take the first step and be faithful in every single step you give. And little by little, we were designing this lifestyle with Chris that at first we didn't even dream of. We didn't even know that it was possible to have. But as we grow older, and as we talk to each other, and as we share those values with each other, we came to the conclusion that this is what success is for us, these values and these things. And now I'm pretty happy to say that we feel very successful with Chris. And maybe to somebody who has a lot of money or has other kind of experiences, they might look at us and say, well, that's not success. But to us it is, because we are super happy with what we're doing. We're aligning with our values, and we just feel that we are getting there. We still have ways to go, as Chris was saying, and giving an example of Empire Studios. We still have ways to go in many different areas of our life that we want to achieve. But just knowing that we are being faithful to the process, we already feel successful.
And a quick story, too, on that vein, as far as success, it doesn't look like success all the time to people. A buddy of mine I went to high school with, by the time we graduated college, he was working at Starbucks. And for years and years, he was at Starbucks. He was a barista. But what people didn't know, who didn't talk to him, was he was going to flight school to become a pilot. We didn't know. We're like, wow, man, he's still working at Starbucks. I mean, good for him. He's employed, right? Well, now he's an airline pilot flying all over the world, doing what he loves. He was a success when he was at Starbucks.
Right.
Because he was going towards his dream, and he made it. So by every definition, the man's a success.
Yeah. So in other words, if you guys have your values aligned, and if you know exactly what it is that you want to achieve in life, you guys are successful. If you guys are staying faithful to your dreams, to what you want to do, you guys are being successful. And embrace that. Embrace the fact that you guys are going to get there. And then there is going to be other dreams that you guys are going to want to achieve. So it's important to understand that as long as you're being faithful, you are being successful. So you can enjoy that starting now. Another definition that we can give to success with Chris, that once again, based on our experience, we have noticed, is that it doesn't really matter how hard you're working or how much you're doing if you're just doing it for yourself. It is so important to think of others, to think of somebody else who needs whatever it is that you're doing. So to give you an example, we're doing this podcast, right? We're not doing this podcast for us. We're doing it for you guys because we want to impart all these values and all these things that we have learned over the years, or these tips, tricks that we have been learning, putting now on your hands so you guys have the practical steps to get there as well. So even though we have an original idea of doing something, you guys were the ones who inspired us to do it. So when you start putting other people first, when you start thinking about your children or your spouse, or another thing that we think a lot with Chris, and we set it up when we started creating our values, is to be able to help people in undeveloped countries, especially children in need. And that's something that we do with Chris. Every single year we try to we do it. We spend at least 1 week volunteering our time, going with our non-for-profit organization to the Dominican Republic, and we built a school there, and we have been helping kids there, but we do it because it's part of our values. So everything that we decide to do in life goes around those values of helping others. So when you start thinking, you get out of that box of thinking about you, and your needs, but you start thinking about other people's and other people's needs, your success, your definition of success really expands.
And let me tell you, it feels so good. If you haven't really just selflessly helped other people, whether it's monetarily if you don't have the time, or with your time and efforts if you don't have the money to do it but you have some time, it's such a rewarding feeling. Even if it's as simple as checking out your local animal shelter and going to their website and seeing, oh, hey, they put out a call for paper towels and some dog food and some cat toys or whatever, and going to your local pet store and buying all that.
Right.
Let me tell you, every bit of that process is going to feel so good, from looking at the list and getting excited. Oh, I can buy that. Oh, you know what? We have some extra paper towels because we shop at Costco or whatever, and I could bring some of those down. Or from that to going out there and picking out the toys, knowing that the cats in the shelter or whatever, the dogs are going to play with that, to delivering it, it's just such an amazing feeling, and it's the best kind of addiction there is.
Right.
And there's a saying, and it's so true, no one's ever become poor by giving.
Right. Definitely helping people and even animals, whatever it is that makes you cry, that's where your passion is. So when you put those needs of those people, animals first, even before yours, you're going to feel so successful when you actually accomplish that need or fulfill that need, because you know that you are deep in you're doing something that is bigger than you, bigger than your own thoughts, than your own dreams. And what is beautiful is that when you're blessing others, those blessings come back to you, and those needs that you're fulfilling for somebody else, your needs will be fulfilled as well. So it's such a beautiful thing that we have actually experienced with Chris. And that's not the reason, obviously, why we do it, but just knowing that it distracts you almost when you are putting your focus and your attention to somebody else rather than your own needs. It distracts you from your own needs. And then when you come to realize your needs have been fulfilled as well. So it's just a beautiful, as Chris said, addicting thing to do. And it's a good addiction to have. One thing that will definitely help you stay track with being successful and what success means to you, and to put other people's ahead of you, is to write a success statement. And what this means is you write a phrase that helps you remember what your values are, what your key values are, and help you remember what it is the most important to you, what makes you happy, what is your passion. That phrase can definitely help you come back when you're being off track. It helps you come back and stay focused on what that success means to you.
It's like how every business has a mission statement. Make a mission statement for you, a success statement, to write down what's the biggest values in your life, and pursue it in all areas, from career to financial, and just have all everything that you do, all your decisions lead back to that.
And that's something we have done with Chris as well. He has his own success statement. I have mine. We have one as a couple, and we're more than happy to share that with you guys. So we're going to include it in a downloadable that you guys can get from this episode, and be able to get inspired to write your own success statement. Once again, it will help you stay focused on what success means to you, because it's important that you define what that is to you, and that you're able to define what helping others means to you as well. So this leads us to have the actionable steps for you guys this week. And remember, this is something we will love to challenge you every single week to do. So the number one thing is to identify your values and what makes you happy. So remember, you guys can download the PDF, and you guys will be able to find not just our statement, but step by step how you guys can identify your values as well.
Step 2 is make a list of your needs and your wants and really evaluate that. What's important to you right now? So make that list, and it helps put things in perspective.
And then finally is to write your success statement. And once again, the PDF will walk you on how to do it, and that will help you be on the right track to have a successful life.
That is this week's episode. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you download that PDF in either the show notes or in the description below. And if you found value at all in this episode, which we hope you did, make sure you rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.